reason you turn it in, even if it's not done, is because I know so many of you will just never turn it in if I let you leave with it and make you upload it to Schoology or something. Like, I have still so many people that didn't upload that packet you guys worked on last week that I gave you the answers and like we went over it. Still, so many of you just let that be missing and never uploaded it to Schoology. Like, turn in your work. Do it however I tell you to turn it in. Sometimes I tell you to turn it into Schoology, sometimes I tell you to turn it into the bin. This packet is gonna go in the bin. Okay, but number 5, and no headphones this point on. That doesn't mean just cover it, you need to take it out. All right. So number 5, Nigel class placed 10 empty rain gauges on the playground Monday morning. The line plot shows the number of inches of rainwater in each gauge after it rained Monday afternoon. And it said, what's the mean amount of rainwater per gauge in inches in the 10 rain gauges? How do you find the mean of something? Or what's another word for mean? Average. So that includes you doing what? So it's the sum of your data divided by your number of data points. So in this case, they're showing me the data through like a line plot. So I have one data point that is 3/8. 2 data points that are 1/2. I'm gonna make it a little bit easier and do 2 times 1/2. So that I don't have to do plus 1/2 plus 1/2. I have 3 5/8. I have 3 3/4. And I have 1 7/8. So I'm adding these all up. Some of them have multiple data points. That's why I kind of condensed it to this. But add them all up. This is where I think it's better to have like a handheld calculator so that you can type this all in exactly how it looks and press enter and double check that you typed it all in right. Otherwise, you're stuck with this calculator. And if you are doing multiplication, like it doesn't just assume that 2 parentheses is multiplication. You have to do 2 multiplication button and then the parentheses. So still recommend you get one from the bookstore. Anyway, also recommend that any fractions, and this goes for any calculator, that you put them in parentheses when you type it in. So it would be parentheses 3 division sign 8, close parentheses, plus 2 times parentheses 1/2, close parentheses, plus 3 times 5/8, plus 3 times 3/4, plus 7/8. So again, this one, I'm making sure I press all the buttons right, and then I press equal, gives me this decimal. This calculator doesn't have a fraction to decimal button, so I just gotta work with what I have. If I don't bring my own calculator, this is what I have. But also, this is just my sum of the data. I still need to divide it by the number of data points. How many data points did I have? Not 5, but try. 10. I had 10 little different rain gauges. There's 5 different numbers, but some of them duplicated. You had 10 data points. So now I need to take this decimal divided by 10. Division by 10. Here. Press equals. This decimal is my answer, but notice my answers are in fractions. Well, if I don't have a real calculator and I'm stuck with this one, then the way that I would figure out which one is the right answer is I would see which of these fractions gives the same decimal. That's what I would do. So 25 divided by 80. 25 divided by 80 is not the same decimal. 5/8, I'm pretty sure it's not the same decimal, but I'll still try it. Okay, not the same decimal. 51 over 80. Is the same decimal. So that's why this one, the answer was C. Good, any questions on that one? Any other questions? Bob? 30. $31. That one, this is where we go back to, there's some things that they expect you to know. And I gave you like a list of conversions to know. And one of those conversions you need for this problem. So if you go back in Schoology to like the yellow folders, I think is what we're in right now. So the very first day we started talking about ACT Aspire. There's some conversions you should probably make flashcards of. I didn't provide any lists of formulas you need to know, but like you need to know the area of basic shapes, volume of basic shapes, and things like that. For this one, a container at a deli has exactly 5 pounds of cheese slices. Each cheese slice weighs exactly 2 ounces. How many total cheese slices are in the container? So you need to know how many ounces are in the pound. 16. Otherwise, how would you know if you didn't know that? They said that there's 5 pounds. So what math do I need to do to figure out how many ounces that would be? Okay, good. So there's 16 ounces per pound and I have 5 pounds. I'm going to do 16 times 5, which is 80. But the question isn't how many ounces are there, it's how many cheese slices are there. And they're saying that each cheese slice is 2 ounces. So what math do I need to do now to figure out how many cheese slices there are? Good. 80 divided by 2, which is 40. That is why 40 was the answer. But it stinks if you don't know that one conversion, because even though the math is pretty easy, if you don't know that one conversion, you're kind of stuck. Questions on that one? 17, okay. 17. All right, so this one had the same situation for, I want to say like 4 or 5 different problems. So when first reading this part, there might be some extra information we don't need. And also looking over here, this is quite a paragraph. Kind of read ahead to see what it wants, so that when you go and read the problem, you know what to look for. So this phone company will add a new cell phone tower represented by a point on the same horizontal line and to the right of the existing tower. So looking at your previous one, here's my existing one. They said it'll be on the same horizontal line and to the right. So it's going to be on this line. The signal range from the new tower will be 15 miles in all directions. The signal range from the new tower and the signal range from the existing tower will have an overlap of 1 mile along the 2 connecting towers, or along the line connecting the 2 towers. You are making the equation of the circle whose interior represents the signal range of the new tower, and refer to the towers as you explain the procedure we use to identify the equation. And it gives you a little note that in our coordinate plane, a circle with the center HK and radius R is this equation. So we're not expecting you to know your circle formula. They're giving it to you. You're being asked basically to identify the center of your new circle. So I need the center of my new circle and the radius of it. The radius we can figure out right now based on this information. What's gonna be the radius of the new cell phone tower? 15, good. I need to figure out the center of it using the other information they gave me. Also, side note, in this paragraph, they mentioned that each coordinate unit is 1 mile. So, and also the previous cell phone tower was 10 miles in all directions. So from here, I'm gonna find the edge of the original tower by going 10 to the right. We know that going to the right affects the x. So I could just add 10 to the 5, but I'll just count to show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So a little bit off the graph by 1. At 15.4 is where the first tower ends. They said that there's an overlap of 1 mile with the new tower. So my new tower must start then right here. Or like that's where its edge is. Which is at 14.4. Everyone with me so far? And since this new tower had a radius of 15, to get to the center of my new tower, I need to go 15 to the right, which obviously I don't have enough to count, but I know going to the right affects the x. What's 14 plus 15? 29 is gonna be the x of my center of the circle. We went 15 to the right of this edge. And it said it was on the same horizontal line, so it's still gonna be like the y. Okay, so that was what you were trying to figure out, what the center of your new circle would be. And it did say to explain a bit, so you could say, with the center being 29.4 and the radius being 15 of the new cell phone tower, you plug it into this circle equation where HK is for the center. So if I just plug in where HK and R is, it goes, let me write it over here, so maybe the people in the back can see. But it's x minus 29 in parentheses squared plus y minus 4 in parentheses squared equals 15 squared. I think on the key we put 225, 15 squared is 225. But this will just stay as this. This is directly just you plugging in HK, your center, into this formula. All right, questions on that? Okay. Any other questions? Philip had his hand up, so go Philip, yes. Okay, 10 and then we'll do 13. Okay, so this one was interesting. A pattern exists among the units digits of the powers of 7, as shown below. What is the units digit of 7 to the power 50? Note, units digit of 2,401 is 1. So when they say units digit, what are they talking about? What'd you say, Jim? The ones place of the number. So I didn't know what units digit was. I had to read that little key to figure that out. So still, it said a pattern exists among the units digits of the powers of 7. So look at the ones place of all your answers for what the power of 7 are. What's the pattern? It keeps repeating 1793, 1793, 1793. So 7 to the power 50 is too big of a number to just put in your calculator, so can't do that. You have a few options. You can continue the pattern, like I know based on this pattern, what's gonna be the units digit of 7 to the power of 9? Yeah, it goes 1, 7, 9, 3. So then if this is 1, this must be 7. This must be what? And you could continue that all the way up to 50 if you want to. But I'm gonna make it a little easier. Since there's 4 different numbers that it keeps rotating between, I'm gonna figure out, and I'll do it from 7 to the 8th power. How many numbers away from 8 is 50? So if I do 42 divided by 4, because there was 4 different numbers that it keeps rotating between. My calculator real quick, 42 divided by 4. I get 10.5. So it's gonna go through 10 complete rotations of the numbers, so it'll go all the way through 1. Let's see, 10 times 4 is 40, so if I go all the way to 7 to the power of 48, that would be like the 10 rotations, right? I know that this one ends in a 1. 7 to the power of 49 ends in a what? And 7 to the power of 50 ends in a what? 9. And that was the right answer, right? Okay, good. I was like to see if I can keep doing it the right way. But since it's going through 4 different rotations, I could do it that way. If that was confusing to you, then fine. Continue the pattern up to 50 if you have enough time to do so. But no, that's definitely not gonna be like answer C for this one. Let's see, you said 15 to 18, okay. Okay, so for 18, this one, there might be an easier way to do it. But just me, like being a good student, not a good student, but like a good studier, I memorize the fewest amount of things as possible. Like I know that there's ways to go from look at standard form and get the slope from it. Personally, I don't do that. Like I just would rather memorize that this is another form of y equals mx plus b. In y equals mx plus b, what do I need to identify? Usually. In y equals mx plus b, what do I need to identify? The slope and the longitude. Okay, good. So from 2 coordinates, I skipped reading it. Hopefully you guys could have read it at least 1 or 2 times, but when they give me 2 coordinates, I know that I can find slope through this formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Hopefully you already have that memorized just from doing stuff this year with me, but it's something that you just need to know for all your math classes, not your math classes, for all your math classes. Like it's your average rate of change. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the way that I labeled it, be honest with us, it's 4 minus -2 over 3 minus -5. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The double negatives become a positive, right? So my slope ends up being 6 over 8, which simplifies to 3/4. Okay, so my slope is 3/4. To find my y-intercept, I can solve for that now that I have my slope. I'm just gonna pick one of the coordinates. It doesn't matter which one. I'll take the one that I think would be easier to work with, the 3/4. And I'll plug in this x and y into now this and solve for b. So my y is 4. My x is 3. And this is where, like, if there is an easier way, great, I'm gonna go from here, like, solving for my y-intercept, and then I'll show you. But 3 times 3 is 9, over 4. Isolate the b, opposite of adding 9/4 would be to whatever you do on one side. Okay, good. So b is not a whole number. It is 4 minus 9/4, which again, I recommend get a real calculator so that I can just do the fraction to decimal button for you. I'm gonna do this Stratford math over here because I don't like this, decimal, but it gives me, like, I still need it as a fraction. So 4 minus 9/4. To subtract fractions, you need the same denominator. So to make this equivalent to a whole number of 4, I'd have to do 16 divided by 4, right? So now that they have the same denominator, I can subtract the numerator. 16 minus 9 is 7, and then the denominator is 2. So my y-intercept is 7. So in slope-intercept form, this is my equation. Y equals 3/4 x plus 7/4. But it wants to know what the a is if I rearrange this to standard form. So now I'm gonna rearrange it. It does say though that, or reminds you, this is something that's like a rule of standard form, but it's reminding you that in standard form for A, B, and C, A, B, and C have to be integers, so not decimals. And yeah, there you go. It just has to be integers and positive. So since I have fractions, here's what I'm gonna do. How can you make any fraction not a fraction anymore? So decimals, I want to make it a whole number. Like, I don't want it to be decimal either. I can do this with any fraction. I can make it a whole number by doing what? How can I make 3/4 a whole number? Multiply by the denominator, good. Works with any fraction. If I want to do 2/5 and I want to make that a whole number, I multiply by 5. And then the whole number is 2. So if I want to make this a whole number, I can multiply by the denominator 4. But if I have to do it to 1, I have to do it to all. So then I get 4y equals, what's 4 times 3/4? 3, good. So that's the whole point, like, if you multiply by the denominator, if you cancel, it becomes numerator. What's 4 times 7/4? Good. And now I could keep rearranging it to standard form, but I just need to know what a is for this problem. A is what's in front of the x. And in this problem, it happens to be 3. All right, maybe there's an easier way to do it if you've memorized standard form. But I don't do that. I just memorized linear, like y to the next. Questions on that? All right, might have time for one more. It's all 26. Okay, this one, right? The graph below shows a constant decrease in annual licorice sales for a licorice company from 1998 to 2000. The points have been connected to illustrate the trend. Which of the following values is closest to the amount in dollars of the decrease per year? So it even identifies the coordinates for you. So from one year to the next, it's changed. How is the y changing? by how much? By 5, and it's in thousands of dollars, because I also have this in like dollar amount, so it's decreasing by 5,000 here. What's the decrease from this one to this one? From 15 to 10? Okay, and that's representing 5,000. So was the answer for this A? Okay, for a second I thought maybe there was like a curveball in here, but it's just that. Because it's in thousands of dollars. Maybe that was why. Okay. All right. And the other one. So make sure you don't leave with your packet. Make sure your name's on it. I'll give it back to you. Like, you could get 100%, but I just need you to not like run off with it. I need to write down what you've done so far. So you're gonna turn it into that bin. Give it on the back.